Hey everybody, today's gonna be a fun day because we gonna talk about some things here, namely this. Let's look at this. Did Lamont Jacobs actually win there or not? And really, I wasn't gonna cover it, but then it was brought to my attention, so I said, you know what? Why not? I did FAT timing at the NCAAs, including the Missouri Valley Conference, as well as some youth national meets. That was, like I said, youth national meet. So we'll get into that. But right now, you're watching Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes' performances and otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. So what I want to do is I'm going to look at this picture right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at another image. Remember this one? This one right here, where we had Femke Bowl and McPherson, and she had challenged Bowl. Let's see where they actually measured where her chest was. We're going to look at a couple of different things, but first, let's get to this one because we want to make sure that the timer is being consistent. Obviously, there's probably a team of timers, at least two of them, if not three, that are doing this meet. So a lot of times we might look at this and say, well, they're going by here. I saw a couple of people say, or a person that said it's probably going by the neck, it's going by this and whatnot. You know what? Look, if you zoom in very close, you'll see that this is just zooming all the way in. This is not how it's going to look at on the screen. They're going to look at a normal sized image on the screen, maybe slightly closer to this, and that's where you're going from. But what you're trying to do is, especially when you can't see it, think about if you had if you had a pole on your back. Right here, Coleman, his chest is going, there's a line right here, going from left to right. There's a line right here going from left to right. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the center of the chest. That's what you're ideally trying to do as a timer. You're trying to get the center of the chest. You see, center of the chest. Right here, his center of the chest is technically back here, but it would be measured right here on a lean because of how his head is leaned forward. But you're trying to get the more or less the center of the chest, or where the chest starts. And when I say center, doesn't necessarily mean right at the center of your chest where your body is, but you're trying to get right there. And when you zoom in all the way, you will notice by pixels, a lot of these athletes aren't actually touching the line. He's not touching the line. He's not touching the line. His chest isn't touching the line. The guy from Trinidad and Tobago, that was harder, but they got it in the right spot from my eye here and over here. So here's the biggest question. Would it be correct where you see his shoulder is about roughly right here, even on this? And this is where I would love to have two cameras. I've been at track meets where I've worked at, and we had two cameras. So I think I would assume that the World Athletics Championships will have two cameras from the left and the right. And at this point, we need overhead and underhead cameras as well. But obviously, that adds on a substantial cost. Now you're looking right here, saying, okay, his shoulders right here, his shoulders right here. Why is it that we're going by the neck? Well, that's where his chest is. You see the consistency. This athlete is also right here. He's not leaning all the way forward where it would change his center of mass, where he's leaning forward. You see him leaning forward? So you can't go from this spot because this is where you would measure from. Coleman, on the other hand, since you can't see that, what you got to do is his head's tucked down. His chest would be slightly in, only slightly in. Now let's see if it's consistent with other athletes. All right, are we seeing anything here? Okay, once again, right at the neck where it touches the neck and the chest. Here's an athlete that's doing what Coleman did, except from the opposite direction. So instead of Coleman's right side to the camera being slightly forward, this guy, his left side of the camera is slightly forward. And you can see it's very consistent. They're chopping it right here. They might have actually given him a little bit of room there. So from my eye, it's consistent. But hey, let's keep looking. Let's make sure. Look, his chest is not going by the neck, because if it was a neck, it would be all the way up here. It's going by where his chest would be. You have to think about a three-dimensional image. If you had a line on the back of your shoulders. Okay, it looks consistent. Everything looks consistent here. Look, she's doing the windmill thing. Here's another thing. Some athletes are like, okay, if I do my arm forward like this, well, okay, clearly it's all the way over her shoulder, and it's right where her body would meet that. You have to use some of that imagery right here, because I'm not drawing on the screen. You got to use some of the imagery. If she was standing right up and then she's leaning forward like this, where would her chest be? And that's where they're marking it. Now, obviously, if you had two sides of the camera, you would see it more clearly. But yeah, here's another athlete. It's going by the chest. She's leaning real far down, and yet instead of being marked right here, which you could, then there. Now, why am I doing all this? Is because, at every turn we've seen Jacobs, and I don't really care for him here or there. But one thing I will say is this. We see an athlete that's out here, and he's put in the work, he's won, then he wins. Oh, he could be a drug cheat. All right, I guess he could be a drug cheat. That we ain't got no real hard evidence. Cool, good. Entertainment factor, great. Now he wins again. Well, he didn't really win, or he might not have gotten the win. It's the mighta, coulda, shoulda. It's to put the doubt in people's head. I would be willing to go on a limb right now based on just him winning these last two times, that if he wins the world championships, it's going to be another, well, he really didn't win because somebody sneezed at the line, and because of that sneeze, the officials should not have given him a false start to Coleman. Let's assume it's Coleman. So therefore, it wasn't a real race, and therefore, Jacobs actually didn't win. No, Jacobs won. And so far, he hasn't been proven as a drug cheat. So I'll take it as it is until proven otherwise. That's how we got to do the athletes. So there you go. And here's Femke Bol. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. See, here's at the very tip of the middle of the chest. Here we go. It doesn't even, there you go. It's very consistent. So from my view, it's very consistent, but I'm doing this, like I said, from the perspective here. And let's just say that this is the incorrect spot. Because he was 3 thousandths behind, even if you put it here, I mean, there's no other spot you could really put it. His head is dipped in. So if his head was out like this, you will be able to see his neck better. His head is turned to the left, and he's trying to lean forward like that. If his head were extended right here, he might have helped himself out just a little bit. But as it stands right now, at most, you probably get 1,000th to 2,000ths of a second, and he still lost. So at the end of the day, did Marcell Jacobs win? The answer is a resounding yes. From my perspective on this, that's the official result that they put out. Here's the official finish line photo. And there is no question to me, as somebody that has actually been behind on the other side of the timing, on the other side when things have malfunctioned, on the other side where a 2-camera system has messed up, a power outage, wind has knocked over a camera, all of these things that have happened, and facing all of these issues, the start not being caught after they started it, and having to deal with these, throwing up the flags for them, and seeing all of these, and getting a 3 and 4 person finish. Or when it's very low quality because the lighting changed, because you have a certain aperture, you got to adjust it, and then the clouds went over, and then it just started raining real bad, and then you got a 3 or 4 person line finish, and you got to be able to distinguish between the people, which is much harder than this right here. I'm going to tell you, this looks to be right on point. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. You may disagree. You might have said, hey, you know what? Flowtac or whoever said it, so therefore they are the authority on it, and I'm gonna argue, hey, I've been behind the camera, so on this one I think I know a little bit more than if the other people that are saying this, because it's starting to spread more and more, where you got an article over here just trying to be written about Jacobs not getting the win. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. You've been watching Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes' performances And otherwise, that are head and shoulders above the rest. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share. Peace.